Hi, I'm Matt Payne, and this is a small talk on doing web development with Python's Flask framework using the software as a service REPL.it. Slides are over here, along with all the source code, the REPL.it, which you can fork and play with, and the application itself. So we're going to familiarize you with some of the things that are in Flask, not all of the things. Flask can be industrial strength, and this talk is more focused towards recreational programming, scratching an itch, and having fun. I'm going to show you how to create a Flask application with REPL.it, how Flask connects the path in an HTTP request to a Python function using route decorators, how templates are the view in the model view controller pattern, and REPL.it provides a really neat package called REPL.it that provides authentication and a simple database. Very handy for the demo application that is built in this talk. And finally, we show you how to get the parameters passed in on a URL and the information submitted in a form. To start a REPL.it in REPL.it, you want to choose Python and give it a nice name. It'll generate one for you. Free tier, everything is public, and then finally click Create REPL. After that's done, you're going to want to go to the package dependency area and search for REPL.it. You want this REPL.it, you get Flask as one of the things it depends upon, and you get all that good authentication and database stuff that we just mentioned. Here's Hello World in Flask. We import the Flask library, we create an application, we use the application's route decorator to say when someone asks for the root or slash, it should run the index function, which is just going to return hello world. Finally, we start things up listening on port 8080 for connections from any computer, and you can see it working in the integrated browser right here in REPL.it. Of course, we want to do more than just simple strings. We want to use MVC, so we're going to want templates. We make a templates folder by clicking on the add folder, and then once that's done, inside of the Python, instead of returning a string, we return rendering of a template, the file name of the template, and any models, as many models as you want to pass into the template. Rendering a model is as easy as using this mustache style syntax with the two squiggle braces and seeing it in action. Here's the Python. One of the things that's neat about this is it'll come in if you just say hello, and it'll also come in if you say hello Susan. If you say hello Susan, name will be Susan, otherwise it defaults to none. And inside of the template, we check to see if name is none. If it's none, it just says hello world. If it has something in it, it says hello to that name. All right, that's a lot in a short amount of time. We've started a Flask with REPL.it. We've seen the route decorator in action, and we've used plain strings and templates. Of course, if you were doing an API application, instead of plain strings, you'd return JSON. Next, we're going to see about extending HTML layout with Jinja and using the authentication, the simple database, and getting some information from the web browser. When we use the web authenticated decorator, it requires that the user authorize REPL.it to know who they are. So here's an example of that authorization dialog. Let's have a demo. So here is the exciting snack tracker. I'm going to have myself a Rice Krispie treat because I'm a little hungry, and I'm going to wash it down with the Celsius, and you can see that it's keeping track of the fact that I owe $1.33. So I'm going to want to make a deposit. How about a nice $10? Record that payment, and now when I go home, it says that I have a balance of $8.67. So that's pretty much the entire application. All right. So when we were clicking those links, what was happening is we were clicking a link that was generated by line 8 of this template, and in that link is a parameter called item that contains the name of the item. And since the link is routing to buy, it uses this app route decorator to know that it should run the buy function. First thing we do is from the HTTP request, we get the item argument. And then the next thing we do, and this is where the REPL.it package comes in, is we say, hey, we're using the web object from the REPL.it package. We're getting the user store and the current user. So the person that authenticated, we're getting the data that's unique to them. And from that data, we say we want to get the purchases object. If it's not present, default it to an empty list. We append the item that was just purchased to that list, and we save it back out to the database. Then we redirect to the URL that corresponds to the Python function home, and that's why we see the list again, because frequently when you're snacking, you want to buy more than one thing at a time. Okay, how do we do that deposit? Well, we need what the form. What the form is the de facto standard for processing forms with Python's Flask. All right, so we'll go back to the dependencies and notice that we're choosing what the forms 3.01, not the first thing on the list. So when we're posting a deposit into our database, what happens is we have this form model that gets passed into the view, and it's used in several places, and this form model is an instance of a deposit form. When we post it in, it goes to this deposit function, gets the deposits object from the user's database. If there's data in the form, it turns that number into a string, because there are limitations to this database, and saves it off, and then it re-renders the deposit form, because you might want to make more than one deposit at a time. Some takeaways from this is the re-emphasis on the routes. Templates are great. The templates can extend a base layout, and that's why we see the menu over and over again in our application. And the REPL.it package is really, really fun. It does tie you to REPL.it, but after all, this is a call to action to have fun programming, and REPL.it is an amazing way to have fun. Thank you.